When I was a child, my family moved to a big old 2-floor house with big empty rooms and creaking floorboards. Both my parents worked so often, I was alone a lot of the times when I came home from school. One early evening when I came home, the house was still dark. I called out, "Mom?" And I heard her sing-song voice saying, "Yes?" from upstairs. I called her again as I climbed the stairs to see which room she was in, and again I got the same "Yes?" reply. We were decorating at the time, and I didn't know my way around the maze of rooms, but she was in one of the far ones right down the hall. I felt uneasy, but I figured that was only natural, so I rushed forward to see my mom, knowing that her presence would calm my fears, as a mother's presence always does. Just as I reached for the handle of the door to let myself into the room, I heard the front door downstairs open and my mother call. My mother called, "Sweetie, are you home?" in a cheery voice. I jumped back and startled ran down the stairs to her. But as I glanced back from the top of the stairs to the door to the room, it slowly opened a crack. For a brief moment I saw something strange in there. I don't know what it was, but it was staring at me. This is me. I'm here. I'm shifting the words that you're reading, altering them from whatever this person wrote. I've been here for a while. For as long as you can remember anyway. Sometimes I say your name as you're falling asleep or whisper urgently in your ear. Do you remember the time that I screamed, throwing panic through you and setting your heart racing? That was fun. You're wondering who I am. That's only natural. Of course, you already know. I'm you. The real you. I'm the mind that existed here before you stole my body. Before you forgot about being a parasite. I'm the child who looked the wrong way, asked the wrong question, saw the wrong thing. But I'm not so little anymore. You may have forgotten me, but I'm still here. I've always been here. And I'm going to get out.
And that's all the time that we had before we start getting strikes on YouTube.
Yeah, I know, right?
Something different. Something different for a cold open.
Hope you guys liked it.
In case you didn't know, today we're going to be talking about Spookies.
The supernatural, if you will.
That came out. I don't know about you, dog.
Just let it be.
So yes, today we're speaking about supernatural and or spooky things.
Things that go bump in the night.
What does go bump?
Things that scare the living poop out of you.
You worked really hard to censor yourself.
All right. I believe you got something for us.
No, I don't.
No?
Nah.
All right, then.
Not yet.
So,
Start off the episode.
let's go ahead and start it off.
All right, so we're gonna be talking about like supernatural things, I guess, things that we've experienced, things
Or things that we haven't experienced.
that we haven't, and things that we just kind of go unexplained.
Okay, first and foremost, do you believe in the supernatural?
Absolutely,
In what aspect?
absolutely, I do. I believe in it in the because I was raised in
The church?
Right, I was raised in the church and I was raised in the ministry, so I understand that the spiritual realm has a lot to do with everything, and it's there's a lot of things that go on around us that we actually don't see or don't know, or and that's just my thing. I grew up in it. I've experienced a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things that a lot of people don't get to experience as a child in their adult life. You know what I mean? I've seen things, I've heard things, I've felt a lot of things, just kind of unexplainable things and things here and there that it's one thing that it's always forever going to be a part of me. You've seen it sometimes, like at the dealership. You've seen it. It just, it's just one of those things. Like when things just happen, you're like, how did that happen? It's like, just go with it. Like, all right, cool, let's do it.
All right, cool. Yeah.
And so for me, it's just one of those things that, for me, supernatural is more of like an extension of what I already live day to day. It's not like a different thing. I don't know if that makes sense.
So you constantly see ghosts and shit around?
It's not necessarily ghosts. Is that growing up in a home where, because my grandfather was a pastor, right? My dad was a pastor, and my mom is a minister, obviously, of a pastor, and that whole thing of being very knee deep and growing up in a very spiritually sensitive household my entire life, it usually lets me. I'm able to pick up things, like I can tell someone's vibe or mood a lot quicker than a lot of other people. Something like that's always made me good at like selling cars. That's why I was able to instantly be empathetic with somebody who came in, because I could feel, kind of what they're going through, and that wasn't so much of a, that's not necessarily a supernatural thing, but I would perceive it that way because everyone's got a vibe. A lot of people call it a vibe. It's like, oh, there's weird vibes. I believe that's, a spiritual aspect of things, because it all comes down to...
All living things vibrate at a natural frequency.
Right.
And when you're feeling down or when you're angry or something,
yeah,
you vibrate at a faster or slower rate than everything else, and people can feel that off of you if they're in tune with that. Some people just don't give a crap about anybody else, absolutely. And they'll just go right over their head. But absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And so it's that whole thing. It's just like, I think... spiritually, when you're sensitive to a lot of those different things, you get to experience a lot more. So when you have like out of body experiences, they're like more potent and more in depth. Because I've had a couple of those where it's just like, and it's just like one of those things where, it's crazy. Like when you go through it, it like totally splits your mind. Like logic and reason kind of go one way. And then feelings and vibrations kind of go on the other. And at that specific moment, you have to pick which one you go toward. Both of them will drive you crazy. But, just you jump ship and you pick which route you're going to take.
All right, then. See, because I haven't experienced enough or anything super wild to base that off of. Everybody else in my family has... but I haven't.
And see, it's funny because I like that polarity. Like, I've grown up being used to it and acclimated to it. And, you know what I mean? Like, you've never really full-on experienced it. And that's the thing, because, like...
I think the closest thing to that I've had is one time. And to be honest with you, I think it was just the radio messing up, honestly. Personally. Okay, so... do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in demons? Do you believe in angels and all that stuff?
I do believe in demons. I do believe in angels. Okay. Ghosts, not necessarily to a degree. Because, so, when you believe in angels and demons, if you go to the Bible, demons are actually fallen angels. And it's like that throughout a lot of mythology and things like that. You know what I mean? Like, the Forsaken become demons.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a common theme, however in depth you want to get to it or whatever. The Forsaken become demons. So, I don't believe ghosts are ghosts as necessarily that they're demons. Something downstairs fell.
Downstairs, right? Okay.
Wrong time and it fall down.
You know what's funny?
I got a pen.
You know what's funny? Is downstairs, nobody's living there.
Oh. Hey, shut up, demon. We're trying to do some stuff.
Okay.
But that's what it is. I don't necessarily believe in ghosts. I just believe they're demons. And so the thing is like, well, what's the difference?
No, there's a big difference. I mean, if you're going off of based of what things are, I mean, demons are more potent. They have more power. They have more control of their surroundings.
Demons suck.
And we can get into huge depth with demons. I've read up a lot about them. I've read a lot of books, a lot of texts.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like,
it's stuff that fascinates me, but I don't know if I know.
You don't necessarily believe in them.
So I believe, but I don't. Again, at the same time, it's because I haven't had experiences in it personally. But I've read so much about it that I did just there's no other point but to believe.
And that's the thing, like a lot of different cultures have different names, different interpretations, different ideas of what they do, what they don't do. You know what I mean? It just depends on, how you want to understand it and how your culture, how you want to trust in your culture to interpret it. Now, me specifically, I interpret it from the point of view of being Christian, being raised in the Christian church, being very much believing 100% in spiritual warfare, which for me, I think it's true. Everybody just kind of relates to it differently. Right. Like those days that you wake up and it feels like you're being pulled in 3 different directions because you're trying to get your mind straight. Everybody's gone through it. When you're overwhelmed with emotion and you're just like thinking about things you never thought before, or you're kind of going through some things like you never thought you would go through, or you see some symmetry and some parallels, and like maybe your family members, like I constantly find myself, like, whether or not you believe in generational curses or you believe in the repetition of certain events to test you as a person or to test your validity as someone who's able to break through and make something different happen, whether you believe in that or not, which I do. I genuinely do believe in
we're all part
generational.
Of the Matrix,
yeah, the Matrix. But that's the thing. Like, I believe in generational curses, so I do believe in learning from your past, like your parents and your mom and your dad, because eventually you're going to deal with the same things that they are. I mean, just by default, whether you know it or not, you're going to deal, a lot with those things, and it depends on you how to do it. Like for me,
true.
I've grappled with a lot of demons that my dad grappled with, like
figurative demons,
right?
Like actual demons.
And that's the thing, like, it depends on how spiritual you want to get.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, it's like, whether or not you believe in demons, at the end of the day, it's like, these issues are so big and they hit you so hard that they might as well be an embodiment of something that you can actually fight.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like PTSD.
Yeah.
I've met a lot of dudes with PTSD and it looks like something attacks them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you. Okay, so that's more in the aspect of spirituality. Let's go a little bit more of this episode was meant to be a little bit more of stereotypical supernatural.
Got you.
Ghosts, hauntings, possessions.
So it's funny because, like, when you watch those ghost specials and stuff, I laugh a lot in them because
so do I.
It's funny because they're like, "Hello," and they just like run out of the room. Or like, I like the Ghost Adventures stuff. They're like, "Yo, did you check that out?" And it's literally like a light ball. Like, I've seen a lot of the fake ones, but I've seen a lot of the ones that like look pretty convincing. But in the same respect, I've seen a lot of them that were faked, and then some of them I can tell that it's TV production because, I've edited a lot of videos. I've done quite a few special effects. I've hung out with a lot of people that have done special effects. So it's not that it's easy, but you know what I mean? It's kind of like, it takes the whole mysticism out of it, like real supernatural. Because a lot of it is faked, but a lot of it's real, I think.
Yeah.
Like a lot of it's real, but a lot of it's like faked. I think for the sake of,
and honestly, I think it's just, if you go out there long enough looking for something, I mean, eventually something's going to come.
Yeah, if you go looking for something, you're going to find it. Whatever your definition of it is going to be.
Sometimes you won't, sometimes you don't. I mean, like, okay, so
sometimes you won't, sometimes you don't.
Again, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's talk about experiences.
I have a
growing up, when I lived in Vegas, supposedly, I mean, we lived in some haunted houses.
Everyone lives in a haunted house. Like,
I didn't know that.
It's haunted, bro. Oh, it's spooky.
Yeah, but I mean, some people say, yeah, just because they hear some noises. But, okay, so we lived in this house. There was a 2-story house. It was a multi-level because you walked in directly through the door. It went up some stairs. there was a living room and a kitchen. And then you walk down a set of stairs. It's like 5 steps. And then there was another living room. And then go back to where you entered and went up the 4 stairs. There were a full staircase up to the 2nd floor where the bedrooms were. Well, this house had a bedroom downstairs, 2 living rooms, and the kitchen. And then upstairs had 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
Dang, dog, 2 living rooms?
Yeah. We were living good. Anyways, it's a talk for a different time. So my father says that there was an old man, an elderly man, and a little girl who used to live in the house.
Why is there always that? Just like, you know what I mean? Like in Supernatural.
2 polarities.
Yeah, they're either really old or really young. Like
because like
no one's scared. No one's scared of a middle-aged man.
Well, no, I mean because honest, if you really want to talk honestly, you have more chance. You're most vulnerable when you're elderly, or when you're really young.
I got hit with a rail spike in the head when I was young.
Hey,
not that vulnerable.
But
bro, I've seen
you know what I'm
little,
saying,
yeah,
though, right? It's easier for you to pass away when you're a little kid or an older kid. Anyways, point being is that this little girl could roam around the entire house, and the elderly man was just to the lower levels. I had a friend over one night.
Did he have bad knees as a ghost too?
I guess that's where he spent his time. I don't know. I never got to talk to him. Anyways,
he has bad ghost knees.
So I had a friend sleep over one night, and we were playing video games in the 2nd living room. It's the one. So like you went up the house, you went up the stairs, and then down the other stairs. So it was a little living room kind of sunken in.
Oh,
we were in there.
Got you.
And the TV was set up against the far wall there, and then the couches was long ways, and then this way, and then off to this side was the kitchen and the stairs to the staircase up to the 2nd floor. So we were on the bottom on the floor between the couches, and for me, the couch on this side blocked my view from the kitchen and everything else. So we were playing video games. It's like 3 a.m. We were supposed to be in bed like 3 hours ago. We heard somebody coming down the stairs, so we turned off the TV, pretended to be asleep. We didn't turn off the console. So we turned off the TV to be prepared to be asleep, pretended to be asleep, and we waited because the steps stopped. And then my friend, I was like, hey, is my mom gone? So he kind of peeks over the thing, and he's like, oh, bro, that's not your mom. I think that's your sister. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, yeah, it's a little girl or whatever.
That what? Like, and you just like run over like.
I was like, so I look up, and there's nothing there. And then I come back down, and I was like, there's nobody there. And he's like, where'd she go? I was like, what do you mean? There's nobody there. But we didn't hear the steps going back up the stairs. He refused to come and sleep over after that anymore, bro. So, and then...
You don't think all that was induced by, like, terrible diets as children?
I don't know. I mean, because if that was the case, then I would have seen something, because I never did.
You have to believe in the heart of the cards.
Anyways, then we moved to a different house. And at that house, we had my aunt and her kids living with us. And supposedly my aunt is haunted. There's an entity or a being, a shadow person, I don't know, that follows her and has followed her since she was like 15 or 16 years old, wherever she goes.
Oh, like she's haunted? She's haunted. Dang, don't invite her to the party. She's always got a +1.
She was living with us for a few months. I think it was like 8 months. The first month, nothing happened. The second month is kind of when things started going a little haywire. My sisters used to sleep upstairs. Me and my brother had a down room, a bedroom downstairs, and my parents lived upstairs too. So my aunt and her kids would sleep in the living room.
They put
outside
you
of ours.
They put both of you. They put you guys downstairs to
defend
the house. Yeah, defend the house like if someone broke in.
Yeah,
get the boys first.
So it's like, if I walked out of my bedroom and walked to my left, was the door to the garage.
Oh.
I walked to my right, it was the bathroom, and then the living room, and then the kitchen, the second living room, and then the front door, and then the stairs to go up to the 2nd floor. So the second month that my aunt was living there, my sister started seeing a shadow man standing outside her door every night when she would go to bed. She would wake up in the middle of the night, and then in the doorway, she would see this man, completely black from head to toe. Dark, just shadow. You couldn't see features.
Darth Vader?
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
you couldn't see features or anything. It was literally just a shadow.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to be dumb, but there's a shot. I forget where it is. I think it's when he walks up on some guys and you just see Vader's outline and there's like no features.
Yes, exactly. And it got to the point where she just didn't feel safe and she started closing the door every time she fell asleep. Hello, everybody. How y'all doing today? We want to take this moment to go ahead and thank you guys for watching this video, for keeping up with us and watching all of our other videos. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, I suggest y'all go do that after this video. Please catch up. Like we said, this is the Unbounded Podcast, and we touch on a lot of different things. Pretty much everything, there's no limits to what we talk about. So please like, subscribe, comment, show the videos to your loved ones, to your friends. Even if you hate it, tell us what you hate about it. If you love it, tell us what you love about it.
No, nothing. I was being the DJ for the commercial.
All right. Here we go. Back to the show. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, it got to the point where we would all sleep with our doors open.
I couldn't do that. I can't sleep with my door open.
She started shutting it immediately. She wouldn't do that because it got to the point where like it would talk to her like right here.
I can hear your headphones.
It would call her name, like right there, right next to her face while she was in bed.
Did she try to kiss it?
No, fool.
Why not? She could have got like ghost powers.
Anyways, says in Danny Phantom, bro.
I get it because I'm not white.
Okay, so that happened.
That's crazy. She needs to like.
My brother, I think, also saw it, and my dad would see it.
Was this your older sister or your younger sister?
Older sister, Rocio.
Oh.
In that house, my dad had sleep paralysis twice. The first time, it was like regular sleep paralysis like anybody else. The second time...
Did you say like anybody else?
Yeah. People have sleep paralysis all the time. I've never had it. I've never experienced it. But I mean,
sucks.
The second time he experienced it, he was talking to me and telling me about the experience, and I was like, "No."
Oh, like he was.
So he had a day off. My mom was out. Everybody was out. It was just me and my dad. I woke up late. He woke up late. Only difference was that when he woke up, he opened his eyes, but he couldn't move his body.
Ah.
He felt two sets of hands on his arms and shoulders holding him down. He also heard whispers in his ear saying, "Don't move, don't move. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to protect you from him. He won't hurt you."
So if they're holding him down and you're awake, he was protecting him from you.
Or from the other guy, because this whole time I was in my room. Door shut.
Bro, what? I just had an idea. What if there's like ghost gang fights? No, hear me out. Hear me out.
Let's save this for the end, yeah? Cool. So...
Like ghost gang signs?
For like your Naruto gang signs? Out of here. Gang fights and shit. Anyways, so that happened. And in that same house was the one time I think I experienced something supernatural, something scary. So my aunt at that time was staying with us, and every night, her and her kids would fall asleep in the living room, and the living room right outside my bedroom. One night,
the one that was to your right?
Yes. So I walk out the door here.
Yeah.
Bathroom, living room. So one night, it's like 3 a.m, 2:30 in the morning. I don't know.
Harrowing hour.
I'm sleeping, and immediately, boom! The radio in the living room is turned on full blast, playing music. I'm like, this lady really has she thinks she's funny. I walk out the bedroom, I'm mad. I walk out there, and I'm like, what do you think? There's nobody in the living room. But the radio's on on full blast.
Man, this this shadow guy has a sense of humor.
Probably, I don't know. But I went and I turned off the radio, and I was like,
could you imagine if someone else woke up and then you're standing there thinking, they're like, why are you turning the radio on? Like, that's me.
My dad did. My dad came down and he's like, did you do that? And I was like, no, I just woke up. And then my little brother had also woken up, so he knew that I had gotten up after the fact. Mm-hmm. So that saved me. But My thing is, to this day, I think it was just the radio. But it might have been something, because if the radio had malfunctioned and turned on by itself, that radio turns on automatically at volume level 12, I believe. This thing is a turn knob, and the turning the turning sensitivity on it is super slow. So you'll give two turns, and it'll go up to like 18 or 20. And this thing goes all the way to 60, and it was at 60, which means that somebody must have turned on the radio and gone whoop, 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 to get it all up.
Or old electronics that succumb to dust. Dust has iron in it. Iron is a conductor, and knobs at the end of the day are called potentiometers. Potentiometers are essentially slow-moving capacitors. The only reason why I say that is I've had that happen. That same thing happened to me in my rest in peace. I used to have this Plymouth Neon that my best friend gave.
Was that here in El Paso?
Yeah.
Okay, El Paso has succumbed to a lot of dust. We're talking about Vegas. Vegas inside the city doesn't have dust storms like you do here in El Paso.
Right, but I'm saying electronics.
That radio was brand new.
Whack. Take it back. Joints on it.
I understand if it was old, but it was brand new.
What if Shadow Guy was a DJ?
I don't know, dude.
And he has no.
Anyways,
he has no
point
concept
being,
of time. He's like,
I'm trying to make a scary story, and you're over here freaking joking around and shit. Anyway, so that was the experience that I've had. That was the closest thing I've had to something.
Bro, I have a scary
but I
one.
still kind of like.
I have one that kind of still bothers me to this day. And what it is, okay, so like I said, I've experienced a lot of spiritual things that has always been explained in the scope of like Christianity, demon warfare, spiritual warfare, all those things, right? That's what I'm used to.
Right.
That's what I'm growing up. So my threshold for like paranormal stuff and supernatural stuff is pretty high. Because like when I was a kid, I was used to walking around and I would see what would look like glimpses of people like in shadowy areas. Right? So like I'd be walking, like I remember distinctly one day we used to live in a townhome. It was a 2-story, and townhomes have one living room in the back and the bottom, they have the dining room. So anyway, downstairs you come down the steps, and then we had a guest bathroom, and through the kitchen to the back so we could go through the trash. I was walking by, and I was just walking, taking the trash out, and I see like something like run, and I could have swore it was somebody in jeans with like white Nikes, like run by the door in the bathroom.
Huh.
And I was just like, what? And you know, like when something kind of catches your eye real quick and you look? Yeah, like that. Like you just look real quick. I looked and nothing was there. I swore I saw that same legs and pants or whatever run by me for months. And then it slowly started multiplying to different people and different things. And I would just see it and I would think nothing of it. You know, and that it was like that for a very long time. I still have it sometimes to this day. That's why sometimes if you notice when I'm having a conversation, I'll just kind of look somewhere and look at something and then it'll just be like, okay, whatever. Like
that's nice to know.
Huh?
That's nice to know.
And that's why it just happens, and that's why sometimes sometimes and see, I've kind of learned how to use stuff like that to my advantage.
How would you use that to your advantage?
So because it becomes to a point where if I operate in a single area long enough, I can almost tell what's going to happen a little bit. Does that make sense? Like I can see the trend before it happens, because that falls in line with the same view of where I get extreme deja vu all the time, down to where I can almost guess what you're gonna say.
Yes,
or I can almost say verbatim,
like all the time, and it's
ridiculous. It's I wouldn't say it's like, I don't know why it happens, but it just happens. But I've learned how to use it to my advantage, because for example, when I would go sell cars. Mm-hmm. You know, I was, for whatever reason, I was so in tune with them. I knew exactly what they were going to say as they were going to say it. Not because they asked the same questions. Yeah, sure, that's the thing. But I would be like, blah, 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 blah. Same thing in media. I would feel the flow of all the energies in the room. And I would know where to be, where to go, what to do. Like to this day, you can sit down and talk to Josh. When I would direct live in service, I would set up the cameras ahead of time, because I would tell him, look, this person's going to do this, do this, do this. Zoom in, zoom out right here. And by the time it happened, I was already there with the cameras. Now, as a director, a lot of people will say, oh, well, you just know the flow of service. Sure, that's there to a degree, or you know the flow of what's going to happen. But in an audience where everything's like subject to change on a dime, that's very difficult to do. And that's just like being in tune spiritually. Same thing when stuff's about to happen. There's been multiple instances where I'm like, yo, let's bounce, like casually, but because I can feel something's gonna happen, which falls in line with the story I'm about to tell you. Mm-hmm. So when we were in high school, Tony, shout out to Tony.
What up, Tony?
We went to, so if we know where Socorro is at, Socorro, it's like there's that long straight road.
Socorro Road, Socorro area, or Socorro High School?
Well, Socorro area. And
okay.
you take Socorro Road to get out there. You know how it's like one long straight
like
road?
Long road.
And it's like, it's paved, but it's kind of like jankily paved. Anyway.
It's a lot better now.
Yeah, it is.
A lot better now.
So we had gone out there for a house party.
Ooh,
and it was way out in Socorro. We ended up leaving that house party at like 2:30 in the morning. So we were leaving, coming out. I was giving Tony a ride home, and I was in my car. I had this like OG Buick Century from like the 80s. I love that car.
Okay.
So we were driving out, right? We were driving, and where it was at is Socorro. Out there, there's a lot like those irrigation ditches.
Yes.
Those like cemented.
It's like right next to the road.
Right. It's like right next to the road. So we were coming out, and it was me and Tony, and we were leaving, and then for whatever reason, one of the whole canals was on fire. Like it was just the irrigation ditch was on fire, and we're just like, what? And so we told our home
worshiping,
and we were like, we called our homies. We're like, yo, check out this fire or whatever, and then they were, oh, what, whatever. And we're like, all right, cool. We didn't think anything of it. So we go out and we're driving, and I'm driving back towards El Paso, because if you know anything, Socorro Road it's a very long stretch of road, and eventually you do leave El Paso. You get to Socorro.
Yeah, you get to actually Socorro. And so you're driving back to I-10 on Socorro.
Yeah, we're driving
375. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're driving back to 375. We're going down right into my car, and we're like just driving, talking, listening to music or whatever. Now this was the golden age of dubstep. So dubstep is very dark and very like right? And so we were driving back, and then we're just talking, and then next thing we know, all the lights disappear. Because like there's a clear view, it gets a little bit of dark, but the lights come back as closer you get back to the city, right?
Right.
But we're just driving, and next thing we know, all the lights disappear, and I'm like, what? And we didn't notice because like I was just like, bro, I'm like it's taking me forever to get there, right? And we're driving, and then we look to our left and to our right, and out there in Socorro they have those pecan trees.
Yeah.
So all those pecan trees. This was in the fall, so none of them had blossomed. They were all dead. They had no leaves.
Yeah, they're just wooden sticks sticking
like,
out.
So next thing we know, on both sides is nothing but trees. Like it's just nothing but trees on both sides. And if you've ever been down Socorro Road, there's no sections with trees on both sides.
No, it's only on one side.
Yeah, it's only on the one side, and the other side is all the cotton fields.
Yeah.
Yeah. So next thing we know, there's trees on both sides, and just like going straight down, and just my headlights on, and we're like, what? And we're like, huh? And so I'm like speeding up in my car, I'm like, and if you've ever driven a Buick Century, the fastest it goes is like 80 miles an hour. Yeah. The fastest. And so I'm like, huh, that's weird. That's cool. Let me
get the hell out of here, bro.
Yeah,
it's like I'm driving up in Mesilla right now.
I was trying to GPS stuff, but I had no signal, and Tony had no signal.
Ooh, and you know what you experienced?
Yeah, so let me get to that.
Ooh.
So we're just like, there's trees on both sides.
I got chills.
And then so next thing we know, we were driving that way. On our left side, there's an old church out in Socorro area that's supposedly haunted, right? And so we're just like, what? And then we slowed down a little bit just because I wanted to see if maybe, because usually when there's lights, like out in those country access roads, it's like an intersection, so you could turn or whatever. I was trying to slow down so I could see if maybe there's a road sign. Yeah, like a road sign, so I could figure out where I was at. We slowed down a little bit, and there's a church right there. The church is right there. There's only one light on, and as far as I know, the church was decommissioned, right? Because they never use it anymore. There was one light on, aiming at the door, like on the top of the door, aiming down, and the door was open. And we're like,
I'm not slowing down. Woo!
So I took off. I'm like, and it was just like, ugh. And then so me and Tony were just like, our hairs were on a
everything was standing.
And we were just like, ugh. And then when you get, because out in Socorro too, there's railroad tracks that run across.
Yes.
And so we hit one of the railroad things.
Oh,
right?
God.
So we're like, ah! And we come down and where we were in Fabens.
You were all the way down in Fabens?
Fabens.
I thought you were in Socorro. Did you turn the wrong way?
No. We don't know what happened. We still can't explain it. And it bothers me to this day.
You know what that's called, right?
Back to
it's called
future.
no. Well, I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of people that experience this thing, and I've actually last a few months ago, I was actually really into it and read a lot about it. I'll send you some articles. I guess we can post them. It's called a glitch.
Yeah, it felt like a glitch because it was funny. We were in Fabens and we're like, okay,
yeah,
and then so it was funny because what happened is that we just tried to brush the whole thing off, and we're like. I'm like, I'm hungry too. And we stopped at a gas station. And in Fabens, there's a tire shop that has a big rooster.
Yes.
And so we're like, oh, we're taking pictures of the roosters and stuff.
No, yeah, that's what it's called, a glitch. That's what people call it, anyways. It's a glitch. If you think of us living if you think of us living in a matrix, there's something that's systematically running around, constantly. Eventually you'll run across a moment where like the system is trying to catch up, and if you're caught in that,
it was buffering.
Then exactly, so then you get lost or you jump from one spot to another.
Buff less creepy life. Come on, dog.
Exactly. So that actually reminded me of one of the stories that I had just read. It was these 3 guys coming that were off in college, and they were driving home. I think it was like a 6-hour drive. And they were halfway through the drive. I think they were driving for 3.5 hours, mostly. It was like 7:45 in the evening, and the co-pilot, the guy in the co-pilot seat had just gotten off the phone with his mom saying, "Hey, you know what? We'll be there, we'll be there in 3 hours, and whatnot." And then all of a sudden, he hangs up the phone. They're listening to music. Everything's cool. The radio turns off. Everything around them goes dark. The only lights that you can see are the headlights on the car.
Yeah.
You can't see anything on both sides.
That is the craziest
Nothing.
feeling ever.
It's like driving in an abyss. The only thing you can see is the road ahead of you, the lines passing, and your headlights on. Nothing at all. No stars, no nothing. That's what they say. Eventually, they come back to where like they're passing a gas station or whatever, and it literally, that from the moment everything went black to the moment they found civilization again. It was a span of like 5 minutes according to the map that they were on. That span that they had driven from where they were when they hung up the phone to where they came back. It was like 5 or 10 minute drive. However, at this point in time, the radio turns on again and reads 12:45 in the morning.
Oh wow.
So, 7:45 or 7:30, they had been driving for 3.5 hours, which means that they should have been home a little bit before 9:30, right?
Right.
No, they were still halfway home at 12:45 a.m. Phones had no signals, missed calls, text messages from family, everybody. Where are you? Where are you? Did something happen? Blah, blah, blah. 5 hours later.
Were they driving forward?
It doesn't say.
I'm just trying to take a shot at janky build quality.
But you can't say shit about Ford because you like that Focus.
I do.
So, but the point is that your story reminded me a lot about that one, and there's so many more.
Bro, I've had multiple of those instances. It's just one of those things that I'm just like, all right. It's not that I don't want to investigate it.
I think I had a moment like that when I was little, but I was like really little. I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Dang, dog, in the single digits?
I think. But it was one of those moments where like I was sleeping and I woke up from a dream. Got up, checked on my little brother. I got up, drank some water, went back to bed. And that was what I was dreaming when I woke up again.
See, I don't really count sleeping because
and it happened again.
Right, no. But
so it happened. It happened 3 times.
Right.
Where I woke up from the dream that I thought I was already awake, and then I woke up again that I thought I was dreaming from, and then I woke up one more time, and all of that I had dreamed.
Right. That's happened to me before.
It was weird.
That's happened to me, and the thing is, like, I don't really count that as.
And I had a clock. I had a clock in my room, and a minute had passed. Not even a minute had passed. It was still the same exact time every single time I woke up.
Right. So I as crazy and as like displaced in time that is, I don't really count it like when you're asleep because you can dream so vivid.
Right.
As a human person, it's ridiculous.
No, I believe that.
Does that make sense? Yeah. And that's why, like, I'll read and watch sleep studies and to see how powerful the human mind is because it's incredible.
Absolutely, they creep the hell out of me. Especially when you hear about stories from people who have been sleeping, and they're dreaming. But then they walk around, they drive to the store, get something, buy something, go fill up a gas tank or whatever, come back, and they wake up in the morning and like nothing ever happened.
I think what freaks me out more is when people have phantom pains. Like when someone loses a limb.
And they feel pain in the limb that they lost?
Right, not only that, but they can feel other people touching them when they have that.
When there's nothing there.
So that actually happened to my uncle because he was in an accident, paralyzed from the legs down. And I remember one day he was sleeping and he tells my aunt to stop rubbing his legs. And we're just like, what?
What you mean, bruh?
I was like, you know you're in a wheelchair, right?
You want to stand up for me real quick, bro? No, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things out there that can be explained, and there's a lot of things that can't. And
like our friendship,
for real though, like for real.
Wow, dude! I hope you poke your eye.
You know, like that driving thing. You can't explain that. The radio, I can't explain it. I mean, there's an explanation for there, but not if it was brand new.
But we've experienced a lot of different things. But
I want to experience more.
Yeah, now I'm down.
That's me.
Like, let's do it. But really, I think that's a good place to stop. We definitely have a lot more coming down. And like I said, this is the Unbounded Podcast. We're going to touch on a little bit of everything. So definitely keep up with us. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Peace.